Hello, my name is Mr. Asprey and this is a predicted paper for the IGCSE paper 2H. Now, first off, disclaimer, no one knows exactly what will be in paper 2H, only the examiners. This paper has been created by me after analysis of the previous IGCSE paper. Use this practice paper on top of your revision. The best plan is to be comprehensive and revise all topics. So I will point you towards my video where I go over every single topic with examples. And I'll also point you towards my video where I tell you everything you need to memorise for your IGCSE. And I will also point you to my playlist that I've made where I have exam questions on every single topic. And I've actually made that playlist specific now for 2H. So it's ordered by likelihood of questions to come up, in my opinion, of course. Now, if you want to watch the first predicted paper, then you can click a button here or link in the description, so give that a watch as well and have a go at that paper. And both of these papers, the first one and the second one, you can download a copy of it from my Google Drive. Again, link is in the description. Okay, let's get into the maths. Question number 1, a tin contains tea bags with choice of 4 different flavours of tea. Let's call them A, D, N and R. Sarah takes a random tea bag from the tin. The table shows probabilities that the flavour of the tea that Sarah takes is blah blah blah. So first thing we do is we do 1 minus all of the ones that were already given, and we do that on our calculator. 1 minus 0.38 minus 0.24 minus 0.16, and that gives us 0.22, so that goes in here. And that is the answer to the first question. Work out the probability that the flavour of tea that Sarah takes is either D or R. Well, we look at D and R, add them together, and that gives us the total probability. Perfect. Next question, we've got fractions. So I'm going to do 4 times 6 is 24, and then plus 3. Makes 27, so that's 27 over 4. Here I'm going to have 7 times 2 is 14, plus 4 is 18, so 18 over 7. I'm going to ignore the actual answer, come back to that later, because it's a show that question. And when I am doing division of fractions, I flip the second one over and turn it into a multiplication. I look for any common factors. I can divide through by 9 on top and bottom, which leaves me with 3 and 2. That's perfect. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 2 is 8. And then how many 8s fit into 21? Well, 2 8s make 16, and that will leave me with 5 left over to make up to 21. So it's 2 and 5 8ths. Can then check to see if I get the correct answer. I do. Happy days. Question 3, inequalities. To solve for y, I will take 5 from both sides, which gives me 4y is greater than 7. Then I will divide both sides by 4, which gives me that y is greater than 7 over 4 for our final answer. Linear equations. The whole of the right side is divided by 2, so I'm going to move it to the other side and multiply by 2. This gives me 12x minus 10 is equal to 4x minus 7. I can then subtract 4x from both sides. This will give me 8x minus 10 is equal to minus 7. Always subtract the smallest x first. So 4x is the smallest, that's one where I move first. Then I can add 10 to both sides. This gives me 8x is equal to 3. Divide through by 8 gives me 3 over 8. Question 4, we've got similar triangles. We look for the side lengths which are corresponding. So these two are the same because they are both in between the two angles that are the same. So we would work out our scale factor, we'll call it k, and I'll always do the larger one divided by the smaller one. So 45 divided by 20 is 9 over 4 or 2.25. So now if I need to get to AB, that's this bit over here, I will take the corresponding side move it that way, and multiply it by k. So I'll need to do 36 multiplied by 2.25. So I times that by 36 and I get 81. Great. It says given that BC is 54, work out EF. So if this is 54, then I want to take that over this way, and because I'm going to the smaller one, I'll need to divide by k. So it's 54 divided by k. So I do 54 divided by 2.25. 54 divided by 2.25 is 24. Perfect. Question 5. Shane invests $7,200 for 3 years and he gets 2.5% per year interest. So we do 100 plus 2.5 all over 100 to get the rate. And on our calculator that is 100 plus 2.5 and then divided by 100. So that is 1.025, and that's for 3 years, so we raise it to the power of 3. So we do 7,200 multiplied by 1.025 to the power of 3, and we get our answer, and it says to the nearest dollar, so that is 7754. Question 6, and we have these two lines here are the same distance. So this is an isosceles triangle, which means the two angles at the bottom are the same. So those are both 65. We need to work out ABG, which is this angle in here. And what we can do is work out what this angle is at the top of the triangle, because that's 180 minus the 265s, which is 180 minus 130, which is 50. So that angle in there is 50. And we also have this co-interior angle, so the yellow is going to make a C, which tells me that the angles here add to 180 with the angles up here. So we get 38 plus 65 is equal to 103. So therefore 50 plus our orange angle, let's call that X, must equal 77. Because co-interior angles mean they add to 180. So therefore we get that X is equal to 27. Question 7, and we have Millie going on a journey, and there are 3 parts to the journey, and we want to work out the total average speed. Well, we know that speed is distance over time, and we will need to work out therefore the total distance of all 3 and the total time of all 3. So let's first off work out the total distance. Well, the first leg we get told what that is, the distance. The second leg we also get told what the distance is. The third leg we don't know what the distance is, but what we can do is we can do speed multiplied by time. So the speed is 52 in kilometers per hour, and the time is 50 out of 60 minutes, because we need it in hours. So 50 out of 60 is the total number of hours. So this gives me 60 total distance. And now we need to work out the total time taken. Well, first one is 2.5. The next one, I don't know what the time is, so I need to do distance divided by speed. So the distance is 220, and the speed is 80. So that gives me a total of 2.75 hours. And the last one, again, is not in hours, so I'm just going to write it as 50 over 60. Okay, so all we need to do now is work out the total speed, and we need to do the total distance divided by the total time. And that should be good. And it says to one decimal place, so I feel good that my number is a bit funky, and that is 86.3. Okay, question 8. The diagram shows a regular pentagon and a regular hexagon and a quadrilateral. And it says work out the angle marked X. Okay, well, let's start with the pentagon. We know that we can do 180 multiplied by the number of sides minus 2, which gives me 540 for the total angles inside a pentagon. So divide that by 5, and it means that each of these are 108. Okay, we can do the same for a hexagon. A hexagon is 180 times 6 minus 2, which is 720. Divide that by 6, the number of sides, and that tells me that each angle is 120. Okay, so now I can work out the angles in here. So this would be 72 because it's on a straight line with 108, and this must be 60. And then the other one is around a point, so it'd be 360 minus 108 minus 120, which is 132. So X, because it's a quadrilateral, they add up to 360. So it's 360 minus 72 minus 132 minus 60. So I go to my calculator, 360 minus 72 minus 132 minus 60 equals, and we get 96 as my answer. Perfect. Okay, question number 9, calculate the area of this triangle. I can split it down right here and get a right angle. That side will be 14. So I get 17.5 and 14. And I can use Pythagoras' theorem. So the square root of the hypotenuse squared minus the short side squared is going to give me the other short side, which is 10.5. So the area of the triangle is base, which is 28, times by height, which is 10.5, and then divided by 2 because it's a triangle. So 28 times 10.5 equals, divided by 2, 147. Okay, he's going to paint the face of this wall once. He needs to buy all the paint. He has to buy all the paint that he's going to use. The paint in each tin will cover 16 meters squared of the face of the wall. Work out the least number of tins that he needs. So we're going to split this up like that because it's got one line of symmetry. So we know it goes right down there. So we can split it up into a triangle and a rectangle. This is 60. And we need to use exactly the same method to work out this triangle here. So we know this side is going to be 5, it's half of 10. So we do the square root of 7 squared minus 5 squared, which gives us this. So that's 4.90. Okay, So we can work out the total. The area of the triangle is going to be 4.90 height times by the base, which is 10, and then divided by 2. So times that by 10, divide it by 2, and that gives me 24, or just 24.5. Okay, so the total area is going to be 84.5. So we're going to take 84.5 and we're going to divide it by 16 to work out how many paint pots he's going to need. And, whoops, 84.5 divided by 16. That's going to give me 5.28. So he's going to have to buy 6 tins. Okay, let's rinse the calculator for this one. Menu, table, function is 6 over alpha x equals, don't need the second function, start at 0.5, whoops, end at 6, and let's go up in 0.5s, I guess, not ideal. Okay, so the first one's 12, number 2 is 3, number 3, oh, we've got that one already. Number 4 is 1.5. Number 5 is 1.2. And we're done. Okay, let's draw that graph. So 0.5, we're going to go to 12. Oh, it's not the best looking graph here, but we'll do our best. Something like that. That seems about right. 1 is 6. 2 is 3. 3 is 2. 4 is 1.5. So that's 1.5. 5 is 1.2. Put there, and 6 is 1. And as always, let's draw a nice smooth curve to connect them all up. Perfect. Yep, all good. Okay, next one, and I'm going to draw a line connecting them. And it's asking me for the angle of depression, and that's going to be this angle in here. So how far down from the horizontal do you have to travel in order to start looking down at B? Or you could also use alternate angles and say that that's the same as this angle in here. Okay, so let's draw on this triangle. I know that that's 244. Let me get rid of this. And this height here is the gap between 30.7 and 6.2. So that is 24.5. Okay, so tan theta is the opposite over the adjacent. So theta is equal to tan to the -1 of opposite over adjacent. So put that into our calculator, making sure we're in degree mode. 24.5 over 244. And we get 5.73. Or 5.7 to 1 decimal place. Okay, tricky circle theorem. And find the value of m. Okay, so if that's 124, then m will be half because the angle at the centre is twice the angle at the edge. So that's 62. N is in a cyclic quadrilateral with m, so they add to 180. So what adds to 180 from 62 is going to be 118. And the angle QPO is up here. And that one is also the same as M by being they're both in the same segment. So it kind of looks like this bow tie shape. And as long as all the corners hit the circle, then we get that nice bow tie. So M is the same as the one we're looking for, and M was 62. Okay, algebraic fraction. I've noticed that we have 5 and 4 here. So a common denominator would be 20. So I'm just going to multiply each term through by 20. Okay, so what do I get if I multiply the yellow by 20? Well, 5 will be cancelled out the bottom, which will leave me with 4 left over, so it'll be 4 lots of 9a minus 7. And if I times the purple one by 20, again, a factor of 4 will be cancelled out, so you have 5 left over to still times through by. And then 4.55 times by 20 is 91. Okay, multiply the brackets, being careful of the negatives as always. 4 times minus 7 is minus 28. Minus 5 times 3a is minus 15a. And then minus 5 times minus 7 is plus 35. Collect the like terms. 36a minus 15a is 21a. And minus 28 plus 35 is plus 7. Take the 7 from both sides. Is going to give me 84. Divide through by 21, I get 4. Make C the subject of the formula. Square both sides. AC plus 8 over 3 plus C. Multiply the denominator to the other side. Expand the brackets. This has got to be the most formulaic question you will get. And then we collect all the C's, all the terms that have a C in it on one side, and all the terms that don't have a C in it on the other side. So I'm going to minus that to there, and I'm going to minus that to there. So I get P squared C minus AC is equal to 8 minus 3P squared. Factorise out C. Divide through by that factor. Four marks, comes up every year, so formulaic. Magnus and Gary, two very famous chess players, are playing each other. The probability that Magnus beats Gary in any one game is 2 over 9. So if Magnus wins, the probability is 2 over 9. And I don't think that changes. He doesn't get upset if he loses and then starts playing badly. The probability that any game will be is drawn is 4 over 9. Okay, so I write in here 4 over 9, 4 over 9, and 4 over 9. So this is being independent means he doesn't get upset if he loses and throws a wobbly and can't play anymore. So Magnus loses, so that's 6/9, so 3/9 will be left over for Magnus to lose or Gary win. Okay, right, that's that table done. For each game of chess, the winner gets 2 points and the loser gets 0 points. And when the game is drawn, each player gets 1 point. Work out the probability that after 2 games, Magnus and Gary have the same number of points. Okay, well, let's figure out how that could possibly happen. There's a total of 4 points on offer over the 2 games, so it has to be 2-all at the end, which could be Magnus winning and then Magnus losing, draw followed by a draw, or Magnus losing and then Magnus winning. So to find the probability, you multiply down the line. 2 times 3 is 6, and 9 times 9 is 81. 4 times 4 is 16, and that's also over 81. 3 times 2 is 6 over 81. So we're going to add those up to get the overall probability that they have the same number of points. So that was 6 plus 16 plus 6, which is a total of 28 over 81. Magnus and Gary now play a third game of chess. Work out the probability that after 3 games, Magnus and Gary have the same number of points. What, again? Okay. Well, let's figure out how this can happen. First off, the easy one, 3 draws. Next, we can't have one person winning 2 games, and then because that would give them 4 points, and there's only 6 points to share, so they'll never have the same number of points. So the only way that they can have the same number is if there is another draw. Now it could be, there's lots of different options here. It could be Magnus, Gary, draw, or it could be Magnus, draw, Gary. Or the draw could come first and then Gary, Magnus, or it could be draw, Magnus, Gary. Or it could be Gary, draw, Magnus, or it could be Gary, Magnus, draw. Those are the only possibilities. And actually they all have the same probability, because there will be one, let me just double check what they are again. Yeah, there'll be one Magnus win, there'll be one draw, and there'll be one Gary win. But there are 6 of them, so I have to times it through by 6 to get the probability of all 6 of them, essentially. Now a draw is 4 over 9 times 4 over 9. So these are the only ways that we can happen. So first off, let's do 4 times 4 times 4. That's 64. And 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. Over here, we will have 2 times 4 times 3 times by 6. So 144 over 729. And either of these gives us success, so we can add them together. So 144 plus 64 is 208 over 729. Okay, question 16, and we are going to rationalise the denominator. First off, I will spot that root 8 is not as simplified as it possibly can be, and that is going to be the same as root 4 times root 2, which is 2 root 2. You can use your calculator to simplify surds if you so wish. Then I'm going to write it like this, and to rationalise the denominator I need to multiply it by the denominator, but with the sign changed and top and bottom. Okay, great. So let's multiply out. So 4 times root 2 is 4 root 2. And then 4 times 1 is plus 4. And then we have 2 times root 2. Sorry, 2 root 2 times root 2, which is 2 times root 2 times root 2, which is 2 times 2, which is 4. Incredible. And then 1 times 2 root 2, which is 2 root 2. All over. Now, here's a little hack. You do 2 root 2, so root 2 times root 2, which is 2, and you do minus 1 times 1, which is minus 1, and then you're done. Because the other 2 is going to give you the same thing, but one negative, one positive, they will cancel. Great. So we've got 4 and a 4, which make 8. And we've got 4 root 2 and 2 root 2, which makes 6 root 2. And then we've got that over 1, which is the same as well, you don't need a denominator if it's just 1. Okay, I think we're good. Classic question alert. Simultaneous equations. Let's make the linear one, which is the one without the squareds, x equals or y equals. It's going to be much easier to make it x equals, just move the 6y to the other side. And then we substitute, we replace all the x's with this 6y plus 5. So it becomes 6y plus 5 multiplied by y minus 2y squared is equal to 6. Expand out the brackets. Minus 6 over. Simplify. 4y squared plus 5y minus 6 equals 0. Lovely. You can use the quadratic formula here, but you have to show you're working. I like to factorise, and I do so by multiplying a by c, which gives me 4 times minus 6, which is minus 24. And the b term equals 5. And because the a term is 4, I write 4y, all divided by 4. Okay, and now comes the hard part. All we need to do is find two numbers that multiply to make this and add to make that. And those two numbers are positive 8 and negative 3. That does the job. Okay, now we need to just do a little bit of simplifying. This left bracket here has a factor of 4, which is going to cancel with the divide by 4 on the bottom. So we're left with y plus 2, 4y minus 3 equals 0, which tells me that y plus 2 equals 0, or 4y minus 3 equals 0. So y equals minus 2, or 4y equals 3, so y equals 3 over 4. Then we go back up to the top, we find the x value by timesing the y value by 6, then plussing 5. So times this by 6, and then plus 5 will give you minus 7. Maybe I'll do this one on my calculator. Times by 6, and then plus 5 gives you 19 over 2, or 9.5. Perfect. Ideally, you would want to write them as coordinates, like this, to show which one goes where. And write them all in decimals, seeing as it's a bit neater. Perfect. Bounds. Okay. I want to work out the lower bound of a. So I want a lower, which means I'm going to need w lower. But because I'm taking away, I'm going to want this fraction to be as big as possible. So I need x to be big, but because I'm dividing, I need that to be as small as possible. Because if I divide by a smaller thing, it's going to give me a bigger answer, which when I take it away, is going to give me the smaller answer, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, so w lower. So I write 3.45. If I'm only allowed to use 2 decimal places, what's the number before that? Which is 3.44. So the lower bound will be halfway between them. So that is 3.445. Okay, let's do the upper bound of x. So 1.9, I'm only allowed to use 1 decimal place, so the next number along would be 2.0. So the upper bound will be halfway between them, so that will be 1.95. And that needs to be squared. And y is 5 to the nearest whole number. I need to find the lower bound, so what number comes before that? Well, it's 4. Halfway between them is 4.5, so over 4.5. And this also gives me a little indication that I should get a relatively whole number, because it doesn't give me an answer to round it to, or an idea of what to round it to. So yep, getting 2.6, that sounds very good to me because that's an exact value. So I feel good that that is the answer. 19, and we've got some kinematics. Find the displacement of P from O when it is instantaneously at rest. Okay, so instantaneously at rest means that the velocity is equal to 0. And what we know is that if we have displacement, we differentiate it, we get velocity, and we differentiate that, we get acceleration. But we're not talking about acceleration anyway, so don't need that. Let's differentiate it once. So ds by dt is going to give me the velocity, which is t cubed. It goes to 3t squared. 5t squared goes to 10t, and t to the, so minus 8t goes to just minus 8, and the constant differentiates to 0. Okay, so I want to know when it's at rest, so when the velocity is equal to 0. So we've got another quadratic to solve. I will do AC is equal to 3 times minus 8, which is minus 24. And the B term is equal to 10. The A term is 3, so I write 3t all over 3. Here comes the hard part. Two numbers that times together to make minus 24, add together to make 10. They are plus 12 and minus 2. That does the job. Yep. I can take a factor of 3 out of this bracket, and in doing so that will cancel the factor of 3 on the bottom. So that will give me t plus 4, 3t minus 2. So this gives me t equals minus 4, or t is equal to 2 over 3. We must reject this one because we can't have a negative time. So this is the one we want. And we want to work out the displacement at that particular time. So we're going to have to sub it into the displacement formula, which is over here. Okay, so to do that I would do 2 divided by 3 equals, now that's my answer, so I can use my answer button. It's just going to save me a little bit of time, rather than writing 2 over 3 every time. So I'm going to cube it, I'm going to plus 5 lots of it squared, I'm going to minus 8 lots of it, and I'm going to plus 10. So much quicker than having to write out 2 over 3 every time. And it give my answer as a fraction, great. So it is 194 over 27. So displacement is 194 over 27. Perfect. Okay, we've got a funky inverse proportion and direct proportion rolled into one. So we know that y is inversely proportional to root x, which tells me that y is equal to some constant multiplied by 1 over root x, so k over root x. Okay, we also know that x is directly proportional to t cubed. So that tells me that x is equal to some constant, let's call it c, multiplied by t cubed. Okay, it says given that y equals 8 and t equals 25. Okay, so we're going to need to substitute in for y and x. So y is equal to k over the square root of x, which we've said is ct cubed. Okay, so that means that y is equal to k over square root of c square root of t cubed, which means that y is equal to, let's call it a over square root of t cubed, where a is equal to capital K over the square root of c. And we could do that because we haven't actually defined, we haven't found what the constants are, so we can just swap them out. Right, now I can sub in my values. So this is going to give me y is equal to, 8 is equal to a over the square root of 25 cubed. Let's just figure out what that is. So the square root of 25 cubed is 125. So we get 8 is equal to a over 125. So times that through, we get 1,000. So a is equal to 1,000. Okay, so that means that my formula is y is equal to 1,000 over the square root of t cubed. And it's asking me to find the exact value of t when y is 27. Okay, well this means that we're going to have 27 is equal to 1,000 over the square root of t cubed. We can multiply up this square root of t cubed and then divide by 27 all in one go. To get this. And we can, I've got to use the exact value here, so I could square. But I'm actually going to cube root first, and that's going to give me the square root of t is equal to 10, which is the cube root of 1,000, over 3, which is the cube root of 27. And then I'm going to square both sides, and I'm going to get 100 over 9. Wow, that was a tricky question. Oh, I love these types of questions. So much factorising to do. Happy days. So let's factorise as much as we can. What is this? Difference of two squares. When I have a difference of two squares, I square root each one. So that's going to be 5x, and that's going to give me 8. Put a minus in between, and then put a plus in between. Brilliant. This one on the bottom, we need to use the AC method. So AC is 5 times minus 6, which is minus 30. B is equal to minus 13. Because the A value is 5, we do 5x all over 5. Two numbers times together to make minus 30 and add together to make minus 13. They are minus 15 and plus 2. Does that work? Yes, it does. We can divide the left one through by 5. So we get this, and that goes under there. I was hoping for a cancellation, but alas. This one's just a straightforward quadratic, so x minus 5 and x minus 3, I think, does the job. And this one can't be factorised at all, but I can put it into brackets like that, and then minus afterwards. Okay, so let's just focus on the multiplication, because BidMaths tells us we must do that first. And what can we cancel? Well, there's that on top and bottom, so that can go. And there's this on top and bottom, so that can go. So we are left with 5x minus 8, x minus 5, all over 5x plus 2. And we've got to subtract x minus 5. Sorry, x minus 7, sorry. Now I want a common denominator. That's going to make it much easier to subtract. So what I could do is I can times this x minus 7 on top by 5x plus 2, so that I can also times it on bottom by 5x plus 2. So I haven't actually changed the x minus 7 because I've times it on the top and the bottom by the same thing, But now I've got a common denominator, that's going to make my life much easier. Okay, so on the common denominator is 5x plus 2. Now on the top line we've got this minus that, and we are going to have to expand these, I'm afraid, in order to check to see whether or not, or what they get when we expand them and subtract them. So 5x squared minus 25x minus 8x plus 40. Better extend that along a bit. And now this is where it's going to get a bit techie, because there is this minus sign here. I'm just going to expand it, and then I'm going to change the sign of everything I get. So that's x times 5x is 5x squared, but change the sign, it's minus 5x squared. That's going to be 2x, so minus 2x. Be minus 35x, so plus 35x. Minus 14, so plus 14. Okay. Cancel, cancel. We have, how many x's have we got? We've got minus 25. We've got minus 8. We've got minus 2. We've got plus 35. Oh, magic. So we just have 54. So it's 54 over 5x plus 2. Beautiful. Question 22. There is an isosceles triangle in a horizontal plane, and the point T is vertically above B. Got it. We've got that that's 140. We know those are both 8. We know that TPB is 10, and M is the midpoint. Calculate the size of the angle between MT and the horizontal plane ABC. So I'm going to draw a line across like that, and then an angle in here, and then theta. That's the one we need. Okay. So ideally, we need to just work out this this line here. Let's call it X. And this is going to be a line of symmetry, this blue line which I've drawn on. So I can draw BMC, and X is going to be here, this is going to be 8, and this angle in here is going to be 70. This will be half of 140. So this is the adjacent and this is the hypotenuse, so we're looking at cosine. So cosine angle and A over H. I want A, so I cover A, which means to find A I need to do cosine of the angle multiplied by the hypotenuse. Great. So cosine of 70 multiplied by 8 is going to give me 2.74. Okay, now I can look at this triangle here and draw that right angle triangle over here. This is the angle which I need to find. The base is 2.74, we just worked that out, and that's 10. So we're going to use tan because we've got the opposite and the adjacent. So the theta value is tan to the minus 1 of the opposite over the adjacent. So I will do tan to the minus 1 of 10 over answer. And I get 74.7. Perfect. Okay, we've got an isosceles triangle such that AB is equal to AC. So no harm in just drawing that out. So that means that A must be at the top. BC, so these two sides are the same. We know the coordinate of A. And we know the line BC. We're told that. It says find an equation of the line of symmetry. Okay, so line of symmetry is going to go straight down through there, which means it's going to be at right angles to the light blue line. So let's find the gradient of the light blue line. We have 3y is equal to 2x plus 12. So dividing through by 3, we get 2 over 3x plus 4, which means the gradient of the light blue line is this. So the gradient of the purple line is the negative reciprocal, so we flip it over and times it by -1, and that gives you minus 3 over 2. So that's the gradient, and we also know it goes through A. So I can write y is equal to minus 3 over 2x plus c. I can sub in a point on my line, which is point A. This is going to give me 37 is equal to minus 6 plus c, so c is equal to 43. Okay, so my equation of the line is y equals minus 3 over 2x plus 43. I want it in this form where they're all integers, so I'm going to times through by 2 to get this, and I want the x's and the y's on the same side, so I'm going to bring them over to this side, and that's good. And I think they want the x first, so just being pedantic, put it like that, and we are done. Subscribe, share and like. Bye for now.